Hello, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed this training. Today we're going to look at buildings, all kinds of buildings. Let's see. The rule is whatever building we are in, whatever building we look at, represents an aspect of our inner structure. We have already pointed at that. We have already looked at a number of pictures, but I'd like to go a little deeper into a number of aspects of buildings. We will need to look at the purpose of that building. Is it your home where you feel at home? Is it a temple, a sacred place, a hotel, a place of transition where you don't really have your own home? It doesn't feel like it's your real self. It's just your personality in a very temporary exploration. It can be a workspace where you have your professional activity. That might also be a metaphor for your inner job, inner work, inner workspace. A museum, so we will see a number of options. You also have to look at the location. Where is that building located? If you are going back to your hometown, and that is quite recurring, then it is likely to indicate that you are in touch with your childhood memories. It might also be a building that looks like something related to ancient times, in which case you might be in touch with past life memories. We will spend a very specific unit to indications of reincarnation information, past life memories. If your house or your building is on a mountain, very high up, or in a valley, or at the seaside, all of this has to be looked at and is telling something about where you stand in terms of your inner space. The condition of the building, of course, is quite important also. Might be old, might be new, might be poor or rich, clean or dirty. All of this indicates how you feel towards your inner space. The shape will, of course, indicate something important. Also, it can be very old-fashioned, traditional kind of shape. It can be high, can be very small, can be narrow, and you feel maybe oppressed inside, or can be very spacious and comfortable. Underground would indicate that you are dealing with something that is more difficult to access, more subconscious. The structure of the building, is it strong, is it fragile, is it broken, is it collapsing? Is it a ruin? We will see some indications of that. The atmosphere of the building, pleasant, unpleasant, dark or bright, all of this are aspects that, of course, are talking to you in metaphors. We have possible houses, and of course the rooms in the houses are also meaningful. You have to identify what part of the house, what part of the building you are dealing with, you are finding yourself in touch with. It indicates what kind of inner space you are dealing with. We have already pointed at some of these. Doors, gates are passageways. Windows are what allows you to look outside, to look at the outer environment. Walls are limiting your perspective, but also protecting you, giving you protection. So they are your self-imposed limitations, also possibly your protections. Restaurants is where you can nurture yourself. Shops and markets is where you can find a lot of resources which you will need for your growth. Schools, hospitals, office, where you learn, where you heal, where you work, inside. Stations or railway stations or airports are places where you are transiting for a new departure, new possibilities. Temples, churches, sacred places, your sacred inner place, your inner temple. A museum is a place where you collect ancient memories. Museums might also indicate elements of memories that you are carrying, that are active in you, and that deal with ancient times possibly. A cave, as we have seen already, is underground, more subconscious. So childhood memories for a childhood house, sacred inner space for a temple. The bedroom is a place where you have your most personal, intimate life, so it is likely to deal with that part of you that is possibly your sexual life. Cemetery, tomb is your buried past. Again, this might be related to some past life memories. Collapsed buildings is your inner devastation or your ancient personality, something that is from the past that you are ready to let go of. Higher floors, lower floors indicate that you are dealing with kind of more elevated, higher part of your inner reality, possibly more comfortable. The more you are higher up, the more vibrationally you are high. You always understand that this means more happy, more joyful, more in touch with your inner resources. Lower is more heavy, not so comfortable, more emotional. Hotels, whatever you feel is not your normal house, home, is only transitional. Moving houses would be an indication of change, your inner transformation. You change your personality. You discover new parts of yourself. Your office might be your workspace. Railway station, we saw ruins left over from your past. Stairs, what allows you to move from one inner space to another. Also sometimes an elevator for a fast transition. So let's look at some examples. So the dreamer finds himself presumably on the outside and dreams that he is seeing an old house, several storages high, in which I thought I could still find a living space. But it is totally collapsing. Now it certainly cannot be used anymore. So I go away thinking it doesn't matter. Let's go somewhere else. I will certainly find a better place than this. Translation? My ancient personality, what he is looking at, that old house, which I thought was acceptable. I thought I could still use that. I thought I could find a place to be in there. Although it had a lot of limitations, I was still accepting. But it appears now to be totally useless. I realize that my ancient patterns and attitudes are not suitable anymore. I need to change. I need to go somewhere else inside. So I'm ready for a new environment. I trust that I will find something better. So this is a quite resourceful little dream that indicates that the dreamer is ready for a change. He can see, he is aware or the fact that most of his usual patterns are collapsing, falling apart, not useful anymore, so he's ready for a change. Here I have bought a new house next to an old castle that looks like a ruin in bad shape. The new house is much more welcoming, warm and cozy. There is a garden and I feel great in that house. Another very resourceful little dream. Translation: I have a new sense of identity now, even though I keep a close connection with some leftovers from my past identity, the ruins of the castle. My renewed self is much more welcoming, open. The garden has a space that is outside. Loving, warm. So this is another indication of inner transformation. Here, I am standing in what I feel is my apartment, a big loft. A loft is a big attic, a one space kind of apartment, not many rooms, but just one big space. So I'm standing in what I feel is my apartment, that big loft. It is in a terrible mess, totally abandoned. A few beggars, dirty-looking people are hanging out there, telling me that they are planning to do some renovation. Translation: I look at my inner space, which feels wide, spacey, but is in a quite messy state. I am aware of that. I am aware of some miserable and dirty-looking parts of me that seem to be doing nothing, although they pretend to have the intention to start doing some inner work. They say they are planning. Well, the planning might be a good intention. The dream is certainly telling that he has awareness of his inner state. Are there resourceful elements? What do you think? It's open. There is a potential, but there is some work to do. So no clear resourceful elements except that there are people there. There are people there who are not looking very resourceful, but they can always be helpful. So the dream is certainly inviting him to keep clarifying his intention and take action. Action about inner work, inner processes, inner growth, transformation, personal development. It will be up to him to identify what to do. Here, I arrive at my house, which is a Western city house, which has an entrance at the street level, but the living spaces are upstairs. So I arrive at my house, I have the key to open the door, but when I enter, I realize that there are no stairs anymore. I cannot go to my living spaces. I wonder how to do. Translation: I have lost my capacity to move to my higher inner space. I feel stuck downstairs. This dream happened. The dreamer didn't know at first what it was pointing at, but it appeared that during the next day, the following day, the dreamer experienced an upset, a conflict situation. For a while, he felt indeed stuck in his emotional attitude, unable to reconnect with his center upstairs. So the dream is just reflecting a very temporary experience of that state where he cannot reconnect with his higher normal kind of positive state. Here we have an indication of a dream who is telling him something about the day to come. It's foreseeing the future. We will come back on this. But it's interesting to always observe that dreams can be related to something that has happened before, that is already present in the dreamer, but sometimes already present as a potential future. So often dreams give an indication of what is going to happen. That is why I keep inviting you to write down the context in which your dream happens, and the context might be the previous day as well as the next day. Now let's look at this one. A depressed woman, she's about 36. I am standing in a rented apartment in some holiday resort, holding a baby in my arms. I am standing at a window looking out. The weather and the environment are sunny and pleasant. I look at people playing outside. There is a narrow corridor next to me. Some workers come. They change the corridor into a much larger room, and they turn it into a food store. We can translate this dream as follows. I'm standing in a rented apartment in some holiday resort. I am in a temporary inner space. It's not my real self, not my own home. It's temporary. So I am in a changing process. Holding my baby in my arms, I am aware of taking care of my inner child. Very close to my changing process, my needs for growth. Standing at the window, looking out, I can see that my outer environment is okay, is joyful and pleasant. I look at people playing outside. Things seem normal, even joyful and playful in my outer environment. However, I feel I am totally busy with my inner reality right now. I feel distant from the outer environment, separated from it by a window. There is a narrow corridor next to me. My inner space feels narrow, oppressed. Whatever is narrow doesn't give you space. It's your feeling of oppression. And then some workers come. They can change the corridor into a large room and turn it into a food store. Translation, however, there is a change now. As I work on myself, my inner space opens up, and soon I become aware of many inner resources. I will be able to keep nurturing myself and grow. Traditional questions. What is the dream telling her? Obviously, she is very much focused on her growth process. Feeling first that it's quite narrow, and then all of a sudden moving up, becoming wider, more space, and also more resourceful, in touch with her inner resources. Of course, we have here clear indications of resourceful elements. We can also look at a comment here. The dreamer is a client in therapy. The dreamer indicates that she's doing well indeed, taking care of her baby. She has access to everything she needs with this shop. She is still very much involved with her inner child, her healing process, but she can already see that her outer reality looks okay, joyful and free. So here, what kind of inner work can we do? Of course, I can invite this dreamer to go back to her dream, and towards the end of the dream, get back in touch with the feelings. Something more open, something bright and joyful outside, resourceful inside. So she has it all. It's all in there. Just go into these feelings. Breathing and feeling. Breathing out the past, breathing in the new potential, new possibilities. Letting go of whatever limits her, opening up to the inner freedom. That's the inner work that can be done. And we will close it here for today. Next time we will deal with roads and vehicles. And once again, I'd like to invite you to pay attention to your dreams, write them down, identify the dream elements, start working on possible reformulation sentence by sentence, explore the 3 questions. What is the dream telling you? Are there resource elements? What is the dream inviting you to? Possibly do some inner work, take time to be in touch with the feelings, uncomfortable feelings possibly, resourceful feelings, changing perspectives. We will keep practicing this, keep showing how to guide inner processes, keep demonstrating. Bye-bye for today. See you next time.